Welsh Cavalry is back in action. This time, Afghanistan. Fighting the Taliban is its most dangerous mission in more than 50 years. As well as keeping the enemy at bay, the Welsh have to keep the locals on side.
That's my good deed for the day.
Many of the boys are just teenagers, but they look out for each other.
You need to watch them carefully. They'll be alright, I'll watch them.
These soldiers may be young, but they have to grow up fast. There's danger, but there's also a lot of hanging around to do.
95% boredom, 5% absolute mayhem.
It's the mayhem and the danger that some of them are here for. They want to test themselves. They're going to need all their skills and firepower to get through. The enemy are an ever-present threat.
So there are people here looking at us, reporting us maybe? I have no doubt.
When the threat becomes reality, there's a heavy price to pay.
It's a risk that every soldier is willing to take, otherwise they wouldn't sign on the dotted line.
This is life and death on the front line. I'm with a troop of the Welsh Cavalry in southern Afghanistan. The Queen's Dragoon Guards are operating across Helmand Province. Here their jackal vehicles are snurgling, an army term for sneaking around, sniffing out the enemy without being seen. It's hazardous. They've been attacked here by the Taliban before. Monmouth boy Jerome Tyson is one of the regiment's senior soldiers.
I think if you feel that you're going to get killed every corner you turn or blown up on every piece of road that you're on, you'll be a nervous wreck by the end of it. So you try and do the best you can, pick the ground that you can, be as safe as you can. We've got a good kit, well trained, so we've got a good chance of defeating the enemy whenever we come across them.
The gunner on Jerome's vehicle is Marine Thomas Davis, or Tomo. He's been attached to the Welsh Cavalry and has only a fortnight to go, as he likes to remind them.
15 days, mate. 15 days. Through that, like, rock.
This is reconnaissance, finding out what the enemy are doing, for example by listening to their radio communications, known as ICOM chatter.
Yeah, literally on the right hand side of that rock.
That's the entry point.
Right now we're getting a lot of ICOM singing. The Taliban are actually singing, and there's a good indication, especially from other tours before that they're singing to prepare themselves for battle. And they're also singing about how good the Taliban are and how crap the infidels are, who are us basically.
In the army, there's a lot of waiting around for the action. And today there's time for the Marines' Welsh mates to wind him up. They're envious of him leaving before them.
As we got a Marine with us, mine and Keith's job is to try and break him before he goes in 15 days' time, because this is his end of tour, and we've got 2 months left, so we shall break it.
No, they won't.
We had you, bro.
Yes. No, he didn't.
He was nearly crying. No, day. You asked for a packet of tissues. you went speechless.
I was about to flash, yeah, but I didn't break.
Nearly broke. You were broke.
15 days, I won't break.
You sure that's tea you're drinking? We won't play with this kit when he's doing this kind of stuff, which is pretty dangerous, so we just wait for our downtime to do it.
There's a lot of good-humoured banter in the army. Unfortunately, Tomo's luck is about to turn. A week later, Tomo's troop is on an op near the village of Mian Pushte. They're here to take on the Taliban. The insurgents strike back with RPG rockets and small arms fire, and that's when Tomo gets hit. His gun points helplessly into the sky.
You alright, Tom? Tom, you alright?
To keep the enemy away, some return fire with grenade launchers and machine guns, while others deal with the casualty.
It's bandaged. Got one guy down straight in the back. Someone, Marine Davis. Gunshot shoulder to the left shoulder. Right, the stretcher's here. The stretcher's here for him to go. Okay, stretcher's here. Bring the next tackle.
The mates who were ribbing him just a week ago are now making sure he's going to be okay. When a soldier's given morphine for the pain, it's written on his face so other medics know.
Yeah, he's just having morphine. What's that morphine again on your wagon? Last few days, mate. Last few days.
Tomo's put in another wagon for helicopter evacuation to Camp Bastion.
He can drive, but you can drive a car, get on the back. Can he drive a car?
The loss of a gunner means the troop has to reconfigure itself quickly.
He's fucking shot! Get out! Bean's got back. Shot, gate holder. Shot in left shoulder.
Then they send up smoke grenades to cover a quick extraction. Marine Davis is making a full recovery from his shoulder wound back in the UK. This has been the worst winter tour for casualties since 2001 in Afghanistan, as the regiment's commanding officer knows only too well.
We've taken more casualties on this operation than any other operation that we have done for many, many years, but that is not really that surprising, considering the nature of what the British Army is doing out here in Afghanistan. It is the most challenging environment, most challenging operation that the Army has been engaged in, I would argue, for decades.
For Sergeant Butch Davis and his troop, these are nervous times. It would be too much for someone to get injured now, just a few weeks from the end of suffer a serious injury, and knows he has to keep his young troopers alert.
It's a fact of life now, isn't it? You know, we're always gonna have enemy there. I don't think the terrorists are just gonna go away overnight. I think during my lifetime they're still going to be around. My wife has found this tour harder than the other tours that we've done. But I think most wives have, because of, you know, it's a bit more dangerous. Everyone worries a bit more about it. My mother and father found this one a bit harder, I think, out of all the ones I've done.
Today's mission is routine, to escort the commanding officer to a lunch meeting with Garmsir's governor. Supporting the Afghan authorities is vital in the fight against the Taliban. The colonel's here to find out what are the security and reconstruction priorities.
The people want our presence. They want the presence of the government of Afghanistan, because what they are seeing is all the progress that's being made here. And what they see from the enemy is the Taliban taking over their compounds at gunpoint, being taxed by the Taliban. They get nothing other than bad news, really, from the enemy. So I do think that the prospects are very good for the future.
Meeting over, it's back to the Fob Delhi base. Another patrol completed without incident. But then Garmsir's a relatively safe area for Helmand province. It's a different story further north. Welsh Cavalry at this patrol base near Musakala have been coming under regular heavy attack. Back in January, one night was nearly fatal for Trooper Ian Jenkins.
I was on sentry duty from about 3 till 5 in the morning, so I'd stayed up rather than going back to bed. All that I'd finished. I'd had my breakfast and I was just getting ready to go back into bed, and the Taliban decided to attack us. I'd only just managed to take my boots off, so they were back on, and I was using the binoculars to try and find the targets. There was lots of rounds coming in, and there was mortars going out, and we were firing back.
there was loads of loud bangs going off, loads of motors going out, and then one of them sounded a lot closer, and I felt like I'd been winded, like I'd been hit in the chest area, and it knocked me back. I told the other guy who I was with, I said, I think I've been hit, I'm going to drop down. I dropped down and I took my body armour off to have a check, and initially I couldn't see anything. I took my top off and I couldn't see nothing. I put my arm down and I could feel like blood on the inside of my arm. So because it was quite far around, I had a look round and I could see the entry wound then. The hole, when I seen it, was probably just a bit smaller than a 10-pence piece.
Although a small external wound, the shrapnel did a lot of damage.
I broke the 8th and 9th rib, or fractured the 8th and 9th rib where the shrapnel went in, punctured the lung. It kind of ricocheted down and ripped my diaphragm, ripped through the liver. It caught the kidney just slightly, and then I think the shrapnel ended up lodged in the gallbladder, which I had removed then. I was able to breathe, but it was really hard. I only had the one lung working. It was really shallow breaths, and it was really painful. It was like being winded, but not being able to catch your breath back.
Were you worried?
Yeah, shitting myself. I was terrified. I was never left alone. The boys were amazing, kept me reassured, telling me I was going to be fine.
He didn't have to wait too long for the Chinook helicopter to arrive. It was to take him and the 2 other injured Queen's Dragoon guards to Camp Bastion. One of them, Lieutenant Garland, had a serious throat wound.
I could just see his feet there, and I knew that he was quite critical. I could hear that. I could hear Shanks, the medic. I could hear the shouting, and I could hear that they were, in quite a bit of urgency, trying to help him. When I got onto the helicopter, the doctor offered me morphine. I said no at the time because I wasn't in any pain, and I didn't really fancy taking it because I knew it makes you sick, and I was out having trouble breathing anyway. I regret that big time.
Why?
They tried reinflating my lung twice, and it's a case of putting a really large needle through your ribs, your lung, and it is very painful. If something like that happens to anyone, they say, "Oh no, I'm never scared of dying," then they're pretty much just going to be lying to you, because I was. But I was also confident in the medical care that I was given and that I was about to receive when I got to the hospital.
After treatment at Camp Bastion and Birmingham, all 3 have been recovering. Jenks has been with his mum and dad in Tredegar since January.
I seemed to cope quite well with the actual news when they came to the house and broke the news to us. But that 5 minutes travelling up to the ward was really horrendous.
You didn't know how bad the injury was, did you?
That's all we knew, that he had chest injuries and abdominal injuries, but we didn't know what, and we didn't know how bad. We didn't know that he was in an induced coma to keep him sedated, We knew nothing at all, really. Like all parents, you never think it's going to happen to your son. You hope it doesn't happen. And just did the iron, and that's just it. We just have to get on with it, like Ian says, It's no good dodging on it. You just got to, get on with life, I suppose, I mean, it could have been, he was so lucky, it could have been the other way. We could have ended up with no son.
I filmed Jenks, as he's known, when he joined the Welsh Cavalry. In Iraq 3 years ago, when he was just 18, he was the youngest in the regiment. He nearly died on that tour when the Land Rover he was in toppled over onto him.
Twice now he's got hurt when he's done overseas postings, and I think, thank God, I hope it won't be a third time, but it kind of prepares you in case there is, and I think I could cope with it better next time. Like, as I say, kind of prepares you just in case it happens again. It's a strange feeling, really. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope to God it doesn't.
Jenks has been badly missing his mates in the regiment, and the experience hasn't put him off army life.
If I was fit enough to go back out, I'm not going to recover in time to meet the boys out there again. But if the opportunity comes up in the future in my career to go back out there, I'm not going to say no. I'm going to keep on doing the same job that I've been doing since I joined the army. I enjoy it. when I signed the oath of allegiance, I knew it was it's a risk that every soldier is willing to take. Otherwise, they wouldn't sign on the dotted line. All I can say is, we don't kill, who can make it stronger.
They've had some very testing tasks. We have C Squadron who have been up in the north of the province, up around Musakala. I went up there with the RSM a few weeks ago and we visited support troop from C Squadron who were in a patrol base called Ubraj, which was the subject of daily attacks by the enemy from only a few hundred meters away. It's a little bit like the Alamo, and seeing the guys there and the way that they were very calmly, very professionally dealing with this daily attacks by the enemy, and dealing the enemy a very heavy blow. This is not anything other than a dangerous environment. That's what we do. That's why we wear this uniform, we take the risks. And the threats are out there and the threats are all pervasive in many areas. So yes, we have had casualties, and those casualties are thoroughly regretted. But if you speak to some of those casualties, I think some of them are very grateful that they are alive, and thankfully all of them are making a really good recovery, because what has been so clear on this deployment is the first-rate clinical and medical care that the boys and girls receive in the unfortunate incident when they are wounded.
In the south of the province, Garmsir is held up as a model for Helmand. Lieutenant Colonel Richmond commands the regiment, but also runs the whole operation in southern Helmand. He reports back daily to brigade headquarters.
This is yet another sign of progress within Garmsir district, which has been widely hailed as the example of success within Helmand. Things have changed dramatically within this district, I'm very pleased to say. If you think that actually British forces have only occupied this area of the Snake's Head around Garmsir for the last 8 months, the progress in terms of the sense of security, the reconstruction and development, the attitudes of the locals to us and also the Afghan security forces, it's quite remarkable.
I want to see for myself that progress, so the regiment arranges for me to go out on patrol with Gurkhas and the Welsh Cavalry's senior soldier, Jerome Tyson. This is his final tour in a combat role. He appears to enjoy every minute of it, because of, rather than despite, the risks.
Whenever we go outside of the front gates, we're loaded but also made ready, so we have a round ready to fire in the chamber, because the engagements happen quick and you don't really get a lot of time to make ready and return accurate fire back onto the enemy.
The precautions the patrol take and the look of the place on the way in suggests the threat level is still pretty high.
Where are you going today?
Going through the main bazaar of town and the high street, just to reassure the local population that RSF forces are still here, deter any enemy force activity within the area.
This place has taken a pummeling, obviously.
Yeah, it looks like he's had his fair share of strife over the past couple of years. But since May, when prior to that it was completely deserted, it's now a thriving, bustling market town. So it's the town has become a bit of a success story, really. Okay, this is where the bazaar starts for real, really. All local shops.
The ability to patrol on foot shows Garmsir's a lot safer than many other parts of Helmand. A ring of vehicle checkpoints stops weapons coming in, but Taliban sympathizers and spies are here nevertheless.
So there are people here looking at us, reporting us maybe?
I have no doubt. I have no doubt.
Importantly, security is good enough for reconstruction projects like this and for businesses to reopen. But how friendly are the locals?
I think some are. Some are indifferent towards us. You know, we provide security for them. They're not interested in ISAF forces particularly. They just want to get on with their lives, and I completely understand that. You know, so I don't expect them to come up and shake my hand and pat me on the back. They just want to get on with their lives, and at the moment we're facilitating that, and it's going very well. Assalamu alaikum.
Is the place safer now than it was a year ago?
Taliban cheated at that.
What does he think of the British Army here? What is it like now in this town?
Yeah, it's nice to know that the job we do here makes a difference to people's lives. As you've seen, they haven't got very much in the form of worldly possessions. So if we can enable them to have a peaceful life and carry on farming or being shopkeepers, and they can do that security, then I guess that's a job well done by us. Assalamu alaikum. From a professional point of view, this is a much better place for a soldier to be. The enemy threat is always there, which makes a huge difference to the way you go about your business, whether you're engaged by the enemy or not, or whether you find an IED or not. The threat is always there, and just having that threat there makes soldiers do things in a much different way.
While Garmsir is a model of security, it's not a big area. And from what I had seen in earlier operations, the army are clearly unable or unwilling to hold territory outside of it. The commanding officer says this is because neither the British nor Afghan villagers are ready for it.
If we were there permanently, I think they would welcome it, but just the odd temporary presence for a day or overnight actually puts them in a rather difficult position, and we understand that, and that's why we don't want to give false hope by going somewhere, spending too long there, and then withdrawing. We need to be able to be there permanently and at a time of our choosing when we are strong enough and prepared to be able to stay there for good.
In other words, it seems, everyone's waiting for the American troop surge later this year. By that time, Jerome Tyson will have finished his tour and also ended his career as a soldier. Soon he'll be promoted away from the front line, and he says he'll miss that.
I think my soldiering days are well and truly finished now, which is unfortunate, but you know, things move on. My career's progressing. I'm going to be commissioned in the summer, which unfortunately means I'll get an office job, but that makes room for other people to move up and hopefully enjoy the things that I've done over my career.
As for Butch, he and his troop arrived in Helmand before the others in the regiment, so they'll be going home first. So just a couple more ops to do. First though, Butch has some news on the latest crisis at the base. People are using too much water.
You're not allowed to wash your trousers, okay? So from now on, you wash your socks and pants, and it's only on a Sunday and a Wednesday afternoons, okay? And your t-shirts, and that's it. No, that's no.
You need to take a shit on the Monday.
That's right. I've passed the points on. Grin and bear it. You've got 11 days left here, and that's it. Time's gone quite fast though, because towards the beginning of the tour we were really busy with the Mastiffs, and obviously we lost 2 close-ends to IEDs. Towards the end of the tour we've had a lot more time off. Job seems to have slowed down a bit.
Thoughts turn to getting back to see loved ones.
How's the day before I come out here? Older I get, the harder it gets. And the older they get, the harder it gets as well, to be honest, because they understand a lot more. Isabel's first day in school, especially Millie. She's 7 now, nearly 8. Yeah, she understands now where I am and what I'm doing. Emma tells them that I'm just away making the world a better place. And that's all they need to know. They don't need to know what I'm doing. Emma doesn't even need to know what I'm doing. She just knows I'm in Afghanistan. And that's it. She knows I'm here just trying to do my job and get back to that.
But I wanted to know whether doing his job was doing any good.
I disagree with Speedy, so I don't want to.
Why do you disagree?
I don't think we can win yet, myself.
Why not?
I think we've lost too many people here to be already. And look how many other people have tried and haven't achieved nothing. My personal opinion,
Do you think that progress has been made, though?
Yes, definitely. This area in particular, you know, the DC, the town centre has been tarmacked, and there's new bridges going in, and they've got a government and a local governor. Of course, there's progress going, but I just think, you know, so many people have tried before. I think as soon as we pull out here, the Taliban will take over again.
What gives you the job satisfaction then?
When I go out on the ground and every fucker comes back.
Some won't be coming back. Just after I left, 2 men attached to the regiment were killed when their Jackal vehicle was blown up by a roadside bomb. The names of Corporal Stiff from Grimsby and Corporal John from Port Talbot will be added to this memorial at Fob Delhi. They do a dangerous job, but this brings soldiers together.
When you're under fire, when you're tired, you experience a daily threat from the enemy. We've seen things that aren't that particularly pleasant, injured and wounded civilians, and it's something that will never leave them. And laughing and joking and telling their stories, that's all part of that bonding process. Over the years, you forge a friendship and a trust and a bond between yourself and every member of the troop, no matter what rank they are. And it's something that sort of continues on through the years.
The last few weeks of a tour sees massive movement as soldiers leave and a new brigade comes in. The Welsh Cavalry will be going back to barracks in Germany, followed by a summer of parades in Wales. With just days to go, there's a chance for a first troop photo for old time's sake. Butcher's priority now is to get them through the last op safely.
You ask anyone, the most accidents happen out here the first couple of weeks here tour and the last couple of weeks here tour. Whereas the nervous period of settling in or excited about getting out, so yeah, you need to watch them carefully. But they'll be alright, I'll watch them, and we'll get the op done and up to Bastion.
Camp Bastion is just the first stop on a long journey home, but it'll pass quickly for them after 6 months on Afghanistan's front line.
The Welsh Cavalry filmed in Afghanistan earlier this year.